Hello everyone, and welcome to the Dice Commando YouTube channel. I'm Andrew, with you here as always. This is Go Again, a fabulous video cast covering the trading card game Flesh and Blood. This video and others like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. Please show your support with a like and subscribe, and be sure to hit the bell notification icon so you don't miss any new videos. If you want to get involved with the channel, consider becoming a channel member. There are many benefits to channel membership, including access to our Discord, exclusive deck tech and strategy videos, and the opportunity to help create channel content. I want to sincerely thank all our channel members, as I truly couldn't do this without your support. You guys rock. Go Commando.
Hey Fab folks, welcome to the conclusion of Ranger Week here on Dice Commando. Today we're going to be going through this guy. Man, isn't it funny, Classic Constructed decks, after you've been playing Blitz for a while, they're so big. It's so big. But yeah, that's what we're going to do today. We're going to go through my Classic Constructed deck for Azalea. Now Azalea, of course, faces some pretty steep challenges in Classic Constructed, so you will notice that I've made a couple adjustments to try and deal with, but we get a sideboard, right? So that's primarily what we're going to be talking about today, are kind of the sideboard choices and some different setup type choices for playing her in Classic Constructed versus Blitz. All right, folks, here talking Classic Constructed today. So I just want to do a little bit of a chalk talk, and then we'll head over to the table. Now, the majority of the chalk talk here is going to revolve around the sideboard, right? I mean, we have 80 cards. This is actually, I think it's 89 cards, or excuse me, 79 cards. I think I'm actually one short, which means I have room for something else. But that's okay, right? So what I wanted to really focus in on here was there's some significant differences that you'll notice right away. One is from the Blitz version. One is that we have a significantly higher amount of yellow, and we actually have less blue. The reason we have less blue, like the Ridge Rider shot blue that I love, has moved to a yellow in this. And it's quite frankly, it's because we don't see Wizard, right? So, and usually the arcane damage from the Runeblades are coming in ones, right? So I don't find that I need as many, I haven't found that I need as many blues, right? So it makes sense to just increase my damage output by just a little. This deck runs pretty thin as it is. So let's go. I mean, we talked, Nourishing Emptiness and Stony Wootenhog are in there as clear Prism place, right? They're just giving her, right? Azalea doesn't have sixes, so that's what they're in there for. If you're not playing Prism, you can drop them. Stony Wootenhog, by the way, is just a sub in for Command and Conquer, because I don't own Command and Conquer. So if you do, play those instead, right? It seems pretty good. Some other ones of note are Increase the Tension. You could even swap that out depending on who you're running up against. If you're, there are a lot of decks out there that play defense reactions. Then you want to play it. If you're running against stuff like a Chane or something like that, you could probably think about dropping Increase the Tension. I know some Chane players play defense reactions anyway. It's just a matter of, kind of making that call. Another one that is in here that would be sideboarded quite frequently is Pathing Helix. Now, the reason I have that in there is it's a 0/4, right? It's actually the last zero arrow, I believe, as far as the Reds go. I have that in there for like the Boltyn or the go wide matchups where you think you're going to be defending more and you might not have that pitch card. Then you would try and play like a little lower cost curve so that you could maybe just still throw that 4, right? And then with your bow, right? So just bow, throw it in arsenal, and then throw the 0. So that's where those 0/4s come in a little more useful over. Obviously, the 1/5s have the detrimental hit effects, and they're better. So looking at the yellows, like Hamstring Shot, for example, is another card from a detrimental standpoint that, depending on who you're playing, you may not care, or you may care a lot, right? Like Hamstring Shot into Chane is pretty big. And that's why I have him in the yellow range is, right, you can play around you can set up to make sure that lands. And in that case, the 4 to 5 isn't as big as making sure that you have a little higher pitch curve in your deck to try and do your +1, do your setup and then your throw. So that's kind of the overall strategy here. I mean, even stuff like Sikkim Shot, if you don't think you're going to go wide, you could even, in certain cases, make the argument that you could go take like your yellow take aim or even your take cover, depending on what you're looking at, right? So that's more what I'm playing with on my sideboard is, in Prism matchup. Actually, the Prism matchup's pretty easy to figure out. You just add the 6s and you go pretty thin on some other things. If you're going to go wide, you want a lower cost curve. So yeah, that's basically how that all fits out. It's probably a whole episode in of itself. So with that said, let's go ahead and I did mention the previous video, but in case you are catching up on just this video, we do run the Arcanite, or excuse me, run the Cross Wrap in Classic Constructed, whereas we run the Skullcap in Blitz. Now I have them both in this list to bring them. I guess there's arguments to be made that like in maybe Chane, you would actually still play the Skullcap just for a little extra, like trying to block or whatever, because you're gonna be getting the multi-hit. So there's an argument for that. But I think that overall you need the consistency of being able to make sure you can throw those arrows with Dominate. And that's really where, we're running extra Seek Horizon, we're running Yellow Seek Horizons in here as well. But I still think that, the cross wrap is probably needed for Classic Constructed. So, all right, with that said, let's head on over to the table and look at the deck. All right, folks, so here we are with the Classic Constructed deck. It's still so funny to me how big they are when you're so used to playing Blitz, because we've been playing Blitz for skirmish lately. It's just kind of funny. Anyway. All right, so we've got Azalea and Red Liner. As far as the equipment goes, just kind of pull it in the center here. Of course, we have the cross wrap. Now, again, same argument with cross strap. You should be playing the Tunic if you have it. I just don't. And then I still like the Scalers, even though it's it's less of a combo wombo in Classic Constructed, but it can kind of help you get that shot in. So I do still like the Scalers. I do have Perch Grapplers. Again, you would use this kind of in more probably like a Chane type thing where you're just trying to kind of survive, as well as maybe the Skullcap, and then I have the robe in case we need it. Okay, so let's go ahead and just pull these down and make room. So, all right, let's go through the arrows first. So we have 1, 2, 3 copies of Endless Arrow, obviously. We have 3 copies of Ridge Rider Yellow. We have 3 copies of Searing Shot. We have 3 copies of Pathing Helix. You'll notice what we're going through first right now are the 0 arrows. We have 3 copies of Ridge Rider Red. And that should be, that's all the 0 arrows. So, but that's a fair number, right? So that's 2, 3, 4, it's 15, right, of the 0 arrows. So those are just your point and shoot. Now, as we had mentioned kind of in the chalk talk, Pathing Helix might be something we drop depending on the matchup and how thin you want to go. You could actually do Ridge Rider Shot. But don't forget, in Classic Constructed, running out of arrows I haven't really had a problem running out of arrows with her like I do in Blitz sometimes. So I wouldn't necessarily worry about, running too heavy. But Ridge Rider Shot's pretty good. Searing Shot's pretty good. I don't think you don't want to run these. This would be the one that you'd sub in if you think you're going to have to run a little thin, which is completely reasonable depending on the matchup. All right, now going into the 1-cost arrows, we do have, let's put the shiny one on top. We have 3 copies of Sleep Dart. We have 3 copies of Headshot, obviously. 3 copies of Remorseless, obviously. Thank you, Josh, for that 3rd one. 3 copies of Red in the Ledger. I have 2 copies of Salvage, 2 copies of Hamstring, and 2 copies of Sikkim. So it's very rare that you're going to be playing both of these together, and even this one is going to get subbed out a lot, right? So you'll notice that these are only 2 ofs, and that's why you're going to be subbing these out. Against someone like Prism, I'd probably run this and try and get a little more shots in, considering you're going to have to pretty much count on your big 6s to block. So that one there, if I need detrimental effects like Chane, Hamstring Shot's going to be better. And if I think somebody's going to be playing like a fatigue game, then we'll go with more of a Salvage Shot and try to get some recycling in. Okay. So those are the 1-drop arrows. We now have Nourishing Emptiness ×2, Stony Wootenhog ×2. As mentioned in the chalk talk, if I had CNCs, I'd be playing those there. But Stony Wootenhog does okay, right? Well defended by less than 2, has +1. And Nourishing Emptiness is pretty good. I hear it's good. All right, Seek Horizon, 3 copies red, 3 copies yellow. You just need it. Again, it's 4, man, 3. It's still great. 3 copies of Nimbleism. I have 3 copies of Captain's Call. This one's a personal preference. I like the flexibility of it, even though it doesn't quite do everything you want it to do. But and by that I mean compare it to Nimbleism, right? So Nimbleism is 0 red +3. This one is, you could actually even play the red Captain's Call. I like the yellow here, but the Red Captain's Call would give a 0 or less the +3. So there's kind of a trade you have to make there. Sorry. No, Captain's Call is always 1 or less. It's always 1 or less, but it would give the +3. So, yeah, but I like Captain's Call with the flexibility to give Go Again if I wanted, if I think I can get like, because again, we talked about going thin on, kind of the 0-drop arrows. There is potential where you could get a multi-shot turn in, and Captain's Call will help facilitate that. If for some reason you can get them in bad position and just aimless arrow the snot out of them, right? That's the way to go. All right, we do have Take Aim. Notice we do not have yellow Take Aim in here, so we're going just red Take Aim for the +3. That's because, again, with the consistency we're going here, plus the cross wrap, you're going to be not doing, you're not going to need the reload as much, I found. Increase the Tension, great card for a setup, but only in certain matches. And then for the last setup card, we have Knock the Death Whistle. Again, this is just your kind of a get out of jail free card. Well, I don't know if get out of jail free is the right term there, but it's a save your Batuti card. So we're definitely playing 3 of those. It does have the 3 pitch. It's very rare in this deck you actually need 3 pitch. That's why we're running so many yellows, right? All right, and then to wrap us up for the defense reactions, we have 3 red take covers, 3 yellow take covers, 3 red Fate for Scenes, and 3 Rise Above. Remember, that's free and can help you with the setup. So pretty good suite there of defense reactions. This one being the only one that doesn't defend for 4, but it does give us reload, which puts something in so that we have fodder for Azalea. Yeah, so that's it. Now, do note, I mean, this is our stack of arrows. There's a fair amount of arrows in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3. Right, so that's a lot. But again, a lot of your sideboarding is going to come from here. Well, it comes from several areas, I guess, but a fair amount of your sideboarding is going to come from here in terms of choosing the right arrows for the right. There are a lot of arrows in there, like we talked about in the pregame, that you don't necessarily need for every situation. So, anyway, that's the deck, folks. Let me know what you think. Now, no one's saying that Azalea is a force to be reckoned with, but this is the deck that I've had more success with. I have actually gotten wins with this deck. So, believe it or not, it has happened. But no, she's not taking out Nationals anytime soon. So, anyway, that's the deck for today. That also concludes Ranger Week. So, thanks for tuning in, folks. Really appreciate it. Let me know what you guys think if you'd enjoyed it. If nothing else, go Commando.